took out the Best Newcomer Award at the 2014 Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Please go absolutely crazy. Welcome to the stage, Alex Edelman.
Hey, guys. Hey. This is so cool. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm a comedian. I'm from New York. I'm a Jew. I'm not just a Jew, I'm an Orthodox Jew. I've never had bacon. I'm that kind of Jew. I've never tried bacon. I've tried MDMA, but I've never tried bacon. And I remember like the first time I was aware of being Jewish, I should have been aware like 8 days in, but you're not really like around when they take it. I was at a children's birthday party, and not for my circumcision. That would be a terrible children's birthday party. If your kid came home and you were like, how was the party? And he was like, there was the weirdest magician you've ever seen. I was at a children's birthday party, my whole family was there, and I reached for a slice of pizza that had sausage on it, and my grandfather slapped my hand away and said, you can't have that, we're Jewish. And I said, what does that mean? He said, it means you'll never be happy. And I was like, what? He says, it means you'll never be happy with the way things are, and you always question things. You always want things to be different from the status quo. And I said, I don't want to be Jewish. And he went, that's the most Jewish thing there is. I love New York. I love living there. My first job when I moved to New York City is I worked at a KFC. I worked at a KFC for 3 weeks, which is the longest anyone has ever worked at a KFC. I have a pension. And what you're supposed to do when someone walks into a KFC is say, can I help you? The KFC that I worked at was in New York City's Penn Station, and I worked the 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. shift. At 1 o'clock in the morning in a fast food restaurant in a train station, can I help you is not good customer service. It's a promise you can't keep. This woman comes in once, and she's at least 350 pounds. And by the way, like, I've been in the UK a lot, and it's hard to tell, like, this part of the joke because, like, they don't use pounds there. Pounds is, like, money. They use, like, different things for weight. So, like, they use, like, kilograms or, like, that's right, they use stone. So, like, I had to be like, this woman came in, she was 1 boulder, and... and she gets to the front, and I said, can I help you? And she went, I don't know, can you? And I was just like, oh, yeah, of course. I was like, what would you like to eat? And she goes, I don't know. And I was like, what are you feeling? Which is also the wrong question. Because she goes, well, I'm tired, and I'm homesick, and I miss my family. What do you think I should get, you little asshole? And because I was like 17 and I had no other option, I was like, if you miss your family, we have a family buckets. You can get family buckets. That is the best I can do. It's so funny, now I have this job and this is the best job. And sometimes like, sometimes it's weird, like I do weird shows or I follow weird acts. Like I was performing this summer at a festival in Scotland and I had to follow, okay. I performed at Tea in the Park, which is this mud and drugs festival they have in Scotland. I don't know how to explain it to people who haven't been there in this part of the world, but just like, if you guys know Lord of the Rings, it's like Mordor, but without all the nice local residents. And I'm performing on the cabaret stage, which is a booking error. And I had to follow a burlesque act, which is never a good idea. Because no one's ever like, those ladies are really sexy. Let's see what a skinny Jew has to say about it. And I'm talking to one of the other performers, and she said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a comedian. And she went, oh my God, I could never do that. And I was like, thank you, I'm a hero. And I was like, what do you do? And she went, I'm a sword swallower. And I was like, you're impressed by the comedy thing? And she went, yeah, what if it doesn't go well? I don't bleed out from the inside. that never happens to a comedian. If you went to a comedy show and you saw a bad comedian, you probably wouldn't talk about it the next day. If you went to a cabaret show and you saw a bad sword swallower, you would never stop talking about it. Or you'd repress that memory. And then like 10 years later, somebody like, do you want to go to cabaret? You'd be like, I went once in the 90s. And she had hiccups. I don't even know how you become a sword swallower, because as a comedian, you start in an open mic or an open spot and you work your way up. You cannot do that as a sword swallower. You can't be crap and get better. Because if you mess up attempt number 1, there's no attempt number 2. And there are no open mic nights where someone can show up with like a butter knife and be like, hi, I'm hoping to get way better at this. All right, guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm Alex Edelman. Enjoy the rest of your festival.
Your next act is an Edinburgh Best Newcomer winner. Please put your hands together for Alex Edelman.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Alex. That's the name I go by, but that's not my real name. My real name, this is true. My real name is David Yosef Shimon ben Elazar Ruvain Halevi, Alex Edelman. I go by Alex because it's all I can remember. I go by Alex, and my family gives me a lot of shit for it. They're like, you're not proud of your Hebrew name? No. I'm not. My father's name is Elazar, and he's like, why aren't you proud of Hebrew? Why aren't you proud of Hebrew name? And I'm like, I don't know, Elazar, because it sounds like we're all in Slytherin. That's why. I have cousins, Menachem and Yitzchak. You can't even spell their names correctly in English because there's no English letter for phlegm. A lot of my friends are having babies or adopting, which is fine. I'm actually thinking a lot about adoption. I know that sounds silly, like I just turned 29 last week. And like, I think that's right on the edge age-wise, right? I think that's just like, just a little too old. I don't think anyone will take me at this point. But I'm at their house and I'm holding their baby, and the baby's name is Jameson. And Jameson starts to cry, which is fine. He's a baby. And the mom, who's never liked me, she looks at me and she just goes, sounds like Jameson's not a fan. He usually has a really good sense for men. And I kind of like got a little annoyed, and I was like, it's fine. He's a baby. He doesn't even know he's alive yet. And never say this to a parent. I went, he's just a bag of things at this point. And she drops the passive part of passive-aggressive, and she goes, he's very intuitive. And then I lost my temper. I was like, he's not. He shits himself. That's the #1 sign someone isn't intuitive. If you worked with someone and they shat themselves regularly, you'd be like, Roger is a lovely guy and a decent lawyer, but his lack of intuition is gonna cost us this case. Roger, go change, buddy! And they go into the kitchen and talk about how awesome I am. And they come out, and she looks a little apologetic. She goes, sorry, we're a little uptight because people are judging us for the way that we're raising Jameson. I said, what are you talking about? And she told me this, and I didn't know it was a thing, and now I'm very aware it's a thing. She went, well, we've decided we're not gonna vaccinate him until we know more. And I was like, first of all, here's your disease baby back. second of all, what are you talking about? And she went, well, we've read that vaccines can cause, anybody know? Autism. Yeah, it's weird to hear an audience just go, autism. And she said, we've heard that vaccines can cause autism. And I was like, that is not true. And she said, what do you know about autism? And I was like, first of all, I've been tested 11 times. Don't clap for that. Yeah, you don't get like this without people asking a few questions repeatedly. I went to a lot of child psychiatrists. I was a child psychiatrist slut. I remember sitting in a psychiatrist's office and my parents are talking to him outside the door, and I just remember overhearing my mom go, what do you mean he's fine? But I said, yeah, that seems like bullshit. And she went, well, it's our opinion. And the way she said it sounded like, this conversation is over. She went, it's our opinion. The science isn't conclusive. And I'm not this guy. I'm very agreeable. But I said, that seems like a really dumb opinion. It seems really dangerous. And she went, you can't judge us for our opinion. And I was like, that's how we judge people. Opinions in action. It used to be skin color, but someone had a dream. And don't owe it this, because it struck a chord with me. She said, you can't judge me. Only God can judge me. I went to a Jewish school. I went to a yeshiva. I studied Torah every morning from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, because yeshiva is a Hebrew word meaning miserable. And one of the things they teach you is that when you believe that you're created by God, you believe that God acts through you. If you are kind, that is God showing kindness. If you are merciful, that is God showing mercy. If you show a little bit of understanding, that is God showing understanding. So she said to me, you can't judge me. Only God can judge me. And that reminded me of yeshiva. And I had to calm myself down and explain to her that it's possible that God was judging her, but that I was the vessel through which he had decided to judge her. All right, guys, thanks so much. I'm Alex Edelman.